Well, when I was growing up, I was very involved in music and I enjoyed being with people. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Music ed didn't quite feel like the right fit. Social work didn't seem like the right fit. And there was an article in the Wichita Eagle Beacon when I was in high school featuring the music therapist at St. Francis Hospital. And as soon as I read the article, I knew that was exactly what I wanted to do. So I went to the University of Kansas and studied music therapy there and became at first a registered music therapist, and I'm now a board certified music therapist. In music therapy, you study both the music portion, so we still take theory and we take instrumental methods classes, music history. We also take psychology courses, general science courses, human physiology. So it's a very broad degree, and while we're doing it, we also do practicums where we're taking what we're learning in our music therapy class work on how to interact with clients and how to help them meet goals, and getting to test out our skills and develop our skills under the tutelage of our professors. And then we go do a 6-month internship and become much more finely skilled. In the state of Kansas, there are just around 90. It's a little difficult to answer that thanks to Kansas City being sort of that crossing the border area. There are about 6,000 board certified music therapists here in the US. So really, when you look at the population, it's a pretty small number. Ooh, that was a journey. My first full-time job was at the Youth Center of Beloit, working with adjudicated teenage girls. And that was a real experience for me. I got married and we lived in Manhattan for a year. And I started working in nursing homes and really enjoyed working with that population. We then moved to Florida and I tried different venues and eventually ended up as an activity director in a nursing home and did that at various facilities for many years. When my husband completed his doctoral work at UMKC, we moved back to Florida, and at that point I started my first private practice and worked mostly at area nursing homes on the west side of Orlando, and also worked for United Cerebral Palsy doing early intervention class work in a couple of their centers. So when we moved from there to Kansas, I tried initially having a private practice, but realized I needed to know more about the community. So I ended up being hired as the Life Enrichment Coordinator at Sterling House of Hayes, which was a wonderful place for me to get to understand the community and to interact with people, and started my private practice about 5 years ago. I've chosen to specialize in both the geriatric population and in preschoolers. And the reason why is I find that there's a lot of similarities, and the most powerful reason is because I love leading intergenerational groups where I bring those two age groups together. So I need to have connections with the preschool parents to convince them to step into an assisted living with their child and bring them in. So it's a lot of fun for me. It's very magical. It's very hard to describe just because there's a lot of small things that are happening in the group that are hard to catch. I might be a small child that's in arms and just learning to stand that's come along with their sibling that's participating, suddenly pulling up on somebody's walker and reaching out to touch them. Or a child who initially doesn't interact with others, starting to go around and shake hands with all the grandfriends. The grandfriends noticing skills that the kids gain in the course of 6 weeks or a month of our sessions. So there's a lot of little things that go on in the groups. With music therapy, right now I don't have any preschool music therapy clients. I would say I have music enrichment clients. I'm providing them music activities that build on their developmental skills. So it might be sorting, it might be identifying, letter recognition, learning to take turns, learning to put away things. It's amazing how much more readily kids are to put away their musical instruments to know they're getting a new musical instrument than they are to pick up their toys at home. So just working on a lot of developmental skills. With the older adults, I do mostly groups here. I don't have any individual clients at the moment. And most of those are aimed at helping to decrease the sense of aloneness or the agitation that may accompany dementia or other illnesses. I do a set structure that the clients learn to recognize of always starting with a hello. There's usually some physical movement just to make sure everybody's awake. Singing songs, playing instruments. That part sort of depends on what the group has going on that week. And then we always wind down and have a good saying goodbye. I find that a lot of what I do is reminiscing, getting people talking about things that maybe they haven't talked about for a long time. We might talk about what used to be in living rooms that isn't anymore, like grandfather clocks or spinning wheels, or visiting the outhouse. Just assorted things that come up through the songs or asides that happen in the groups. I use a lot of percussion instruments just because I've yet to find too many people that can't figure out how to shake something or hit something. So a lot of getting people physically involved in what the group is doing, whether or not they have much speech or not. We tend to find that most people are most tied into the music of their teens and early 20s, but they also know the music that their parents listened to when they were little. So that's sort of the saving grace. If you look at the demographics in a nursing home or assisted living, you have people that could be the parents of some of the younger people. So my saving grace is the music that sort of interrelates. People also recognize some of the music, maybe not as well, of their children. So I almost always start with a greeting, and the residents sort of know that what's become my greeting song here is side by side. And in smaller groups of, say, 8 to 12, I'll use each individual's name and greet them and find out how their day's going and what's going on. We often then do some movement activity, sort of chair dancing type movement. Sorry for the added entertainment here. She's probably commenting on somebody walking their dog. So we do some physical movement to get everybody awake, usually some fine motor to get them ready to play instruments. I often will work off of a theme for a session just because it pushes all of us to focus on something that's a little different. It could be anything from hugs to songs about friendship to songs about Kansas. That's always a lot of fun. We do sort of an interplay of singing songs and conversation about things in the songs. At times the groups do songwriting where I've taken familiar songs and we play fill in the blank, and so they add their own creation to things. And we sort of bring it to a close so that they're ready to move on to whatever their next event is, and that varies according to where I'm at. It's very specific to the group. I may go in with a plan. I usually go in with a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, and some days I have to throw out all the plans because people are just at a different point that day. I generally know enough about people in my groups that I know, okay, we need to work on getting them to calm down or to focus. I know when people are feeling very confused and agitated, and so I'm trying to bring some sense of place and understanding for those people through the music, through the familiarity. getting people to interact, be aware of the people around them. Sometimes that is a big need of others in the group. We're tapping into some of those memories that people have, and I try as much as I can to tap into the more pleasant memories and not the negative ones. And that's where needing to be flexible, because a song that may be pleasant for one person could be very unpleasant for another person. So I have to be very sensitive in the group and sometimes just say, look, we need to move on because so-and-so is uncomfortable right now. The same as any child, it's developmental skills, so you're developing a series of skills. It might be creating awareness, encouraging a child to reach or to control how much of something they're doing. It varies a lot depending on the clientele and what their diagnosis is. Yes, a lot of times there's information that you can pass on to a parent of they're learning this skill with this song, so you can use this at home. I sometimes will use songs that are familiar, say a tune like You Are My Sunshine that people know, and we create a new set of words to go on top of it, a partner song. And that's something I can give the parents the lyrics to of what I've written that they can use at home. The same thing in senior living communities. I can say, you know, this seems to bring calm to this group, so maybe if you play and sing this song when you're doing these things, it might be helpful. There is a lady in one of the groups that every time I come, she'll look at me and she'll say, hello, do I know you? What is that you have? And she'll see my guitar case and I'll say, it's my guitar. And she goes, well, what's that? And I'll get it out and tune it up. And she says, now you're sure that's called what? And we go through this questioning phase. But as we start to sing and as she starts to engage, she starts interacting with others in the group, starts interacting with me, remembering what's going on, makes suggestions of where we can go in the group. So she goes from being very confused to being a very active participant in the group. And that's just really wonderful to see. Yes, it is a constant learning. Over the course of the years, things have changed dramatically. We have a much larger evidence base for building practices. Areas like neurologic music therapy are just blossoming, where people work specifically in rehab settings. A lot of research is being done in the NICU, and a music therapist has designed this pacifier that activates a lullaby to help children in the NICU be able to suckle and gain weight and be able to get off NICUs much more quickly. There is a tremendous amount of research in music therapists specializing in hospice care, in autism. You name it, there are people out there doing the research and doing the hard work. And it's just amazing to watch. So we go through a process of continuing education units, just like doctors and nurses, other therapists, where we have to meet certain qualifications of learning during the year. And then we can recertify, or we can also just retest. There are journals that we have that we read within our own field, within others' fields, and try to take the best of information to use with our clients. It makes a tremendous difference. As I said, with having to do continuing education, one of the wonderful things that's happened over the last 4 or 5 years is a lot more online education opportunities. Instead of having to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to travel someplace to go take a continuing education unit, I can do it online. So being able to have access to reliable internet service to be able to take part in those courses is very meaningful. Probably the things I use it the most for is interacting with other therapists, interacting with parents, finding out the latest research trends that are being released through the medical journals, just those little blips through Twitter or some of the feeds are just very powerful for keeping up or flagging that this is something I need to be paying attention to or I need to find time to read. And I love to blog, so I have a blog where I share lots of ideas that parents and caregivers of elders can use these ideas on their own. So I'm very much on the internet and am just amazed at how many people around the world I can interact with. My iPod is my friend. Being able to download a piece of music when I need to have my hands free so that I can keep the music going and sing along with it is extremely helpful. Being able to, when somebody comes up with a song that, which often happens, especially in my geriatric groups, of a song that they just really, really want us to sing. I can't remember more than this line, and being able to Google it and hopefully find a YouTube video or some sound clip someplace so that I can learn it and take it back to the group is extremely powerful stuff. There are wonderful tools like OnSong that allow us to download lyrics with chord progressions that we're able to purchase that just make my life so much easier. It's a whole lot easier carrying my iPad and being able to thumb through 100 songs rather quickly than trying to find it in a book. My practice is ever-changing along with the population. I'm curious to see, as there's efforts to keep people in their homes longer, how I can provide services to individuals that are staying home longer. I want to continue to interact with children just because I think that those intergenerational programs are so important. While many people here have extended family and many children do have the ability to go see grandparents or great-grandparents, that's not 100%. So being able to have that interaction is important, especially when we look at who's going to care for us when we're 90 or 100 years old. We need people to feel comfortable, and we need people to also feel comfortable looking at those fields or just being our caregivers of advocating for us. I think that as the web service improves and we see less lag in sound, there's going to be greater opportunity for distance music therapy type sessions. Right now with the lag, it's a little bit of a different experience. You can't do things as comfortably.
So bandwidth speed would bridge that gap.
Would bridge that gap. And as that, I notice a change, even in the 5 years, a lot of change. There's not quite the lag, but I think when I tell people where I live and how far it is to the next music therapist, it's not like I can just go provide services to Colby or someplace like that. We need feasible ways to provide interactions or provide each other support. I see that as an exciting avenue. I would love to see more community music making. I love the fact that there's now that group that's meeting at the Hayes Arts Council one Saturday a month, and I would like to see community drum circles, community sing-alongs, where it's people of all ages and all abilities coming together and making music, because music is this wonderful connector that we can have with each other, that whether we speak the same language, we can still be there together.
Darling, darling, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me.
Pretty good life lesson, isn't it? Having somebody stand by you.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked and cake, baked and cake, baked and cake. If I knew If I knew you were coming, I'd have cranked the ice cream. Crank the ice cream. Crank the ice cream. If I knew you were coming, I'd have cranked the ice cream. And spread the welcome mat for you.
I think I heard another one over here. Did somebody say clean?
No help.
Clean the house.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have cleaned the house. Clean the house. Clean the house. If I knew you were coming, I'd have cleaned the house. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Okay, so we got the cake, the ice cream, and the house clean. Now what else do we need to do to get ready for company?
Mix the drinks.
Mix the drinks. Woo-hoo!
If I knew you were coming, I'd have mixed the drinks. Mix the drinks. Mix the drinks. If I knew you were coming, I'd have mixed the drinks. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Okay, so we got drinks, cake, ice cream, and a clean house. What else? Wash the dishes.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have washed the dishes. Wash the dishes. Wash the dishes. If I knew you were coming, I'd have washed the dishes. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Okay, we're on a roll. What else? Invited more company.
If I knew you were coming, I'd invited the company. Invited the company. Invited the company. If I knew you were coming, I'd invited the company. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Woo, that was a mouthful. That was a good one though. What else are we gonna do? Woo. What else are we gonna do? Had a dance?
If I knew you were coming, I'd have had a dance. Had a dance. Had a dance. If I knew you were coming, I'd have had a dance. And spread the welcome mat for you.
You guys know how to throw a party. Ice cream, cake, drinks, dancing, clean house. Big party.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have had a big party. Had a big party. Had a big party. If I knew you were coming, I'd have had a big party. Spread the welcome mat for you.
Oh, had you bring food. That's a good one.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have had you bring food. Had you bring food. Had you bring food. If I knew you were coming, I'd have had you bring food. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Anything else you can think of that we need to do?
Turn the music on.
Turn on the music.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have turned the music on. Turn the music on. Turn the music on. If I knew you were coming, I'd have turned the music on. Spread the welcome mat for you.
What else? Roast a big chicken.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have roasted a big chicken. Roasted a big chicken. Roasted a big chicken. If I knew you were coming, I'd have roasted a big chicken. Go ahead and spread the welcome mat for you.
Anything else we need to do for the company?
Make some dressing.
Make some dressing.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have made some dressing. Made some dressing. Made some dressing. If I knew you were coming, I'd have made some dressing. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Anything else? Is that enough?
Well, I don't know where you came from, and I don't know where you've been. But it really doesn't matter if you dip it in butter and dip, dip, dip right in. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked the cake. Iron man, best in the land. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked the cake. And spread the welcome mat for you. And spread the welcome mat for you. And spread the welcome mat for you.
Pop popcorn. Okay. How about Irene Goodnight, since you guys are in a cowboy mood today?
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
Which verse do you guys want to do?
Stop rambling. Stop your gambling. Stop staying up late at night. Go home to your wife and family. Sit down by the fireside bright. Irene, good night. Irene, good night.
spirit moves you today, okay? Because we're warming up. Here we go.
Yay, I like